All right. Well, I'm going to put the screensaver back up to start with that because it needs a little bit of explication here. Yeah, I'm not sure where where I came by this lovely image, but this is an image of the Greek god Psyche, which was the god of the soul, and um, Psyche is always shown with some aspect of the butterfly, just because uh, the butterfly is an animal who is a symbol of transformation. It's originally a caterpillar who has like two focuses, eating and sex, and then eventually spins its own cocoon out of its own elements, and then goes into darkness for a while and falls apart, and then comes back out of the cocoon as can fly as a beautiful butterfly. So the soul is integral with transformation. You cannot transform yourself, thinking. Thinking is, as Alan Watts said, the mind is a good tool, but it's a bad master. Not only that is it can't bring you to transformation. We have to go down through the body into the heart and connect with the soul. And so we're gonna be doing that today. But that's a little bit about the screensaver. Uh, and it's interesting that the Greeks had many gods, and some of them were feminine, some of them were masculine. God didn't have a particular uh, pronoun. Okay. Well, let's see if I can find what I'm looking for. Yeah. Today is we're going to work with how to practice in a difficult time, and if uh, if you haven't realized that this is a difficult time yet, you're sort of lucky. Somehow you've escaped the going to bed with all these thoughts in your mind on the eve of an election, but it's a pretty difficult time for a lot of people, and so this is sort of like the circle coming back on itself. Because when we started Heart to Heart more than 4 years ago, in March of 2020, we were in the lockdown, which was one of the great difficult times for most of us in this life. And some of the first few teachings I gave was on the pinnacle practice in Tibetan Buddhism for dealing with difficult times, and that's called Tonglen. It's the art of um, transforming pain uh, into health, transforming fear, especially, into joy, and it's their pinnacle teaching. And the Tibetans know a lot about pain because I was just thinking about this. I'd never made this connection before, but now one of the great symbols of pain on this planet, if you're paying attention to the news, is what's going on in Gaza and all of Palestine and the Middle East, but especially Gaza. It's just unbelievable. I'm wearing Palestinian keffiyeh because want to I always want to remind myself to be in solidarity, and then just without saying too much about it, normally just remind people this still goes on. Well, that didn't start after October 7th. That started in 1948, when about 750,000 Palestinians were forced off their land uh, by basically a Zionist army that was creating the nation of Israel. Well, just a few months after that happened, which they call the Nakba, the great catastrophe, the Tibetans were invaded by the Red Chinese, communist Chinese, and started their suffering to this day. And even though that fierce pain of that invasion forced many of the Tibetan teachers, with the Dalai Lama himself, over the mountains. Many died on the way, but they came out of over the mountains into India, and thus to our world. We've got this practice now, which is a Tibetan practice. Had they never been invaded, Dalai Lama always talks about it, that it was a kind of fierce grace, but it was fierce. And to deal with fierce times, the Tibetans do Tonglen. So we're just going to focus today on one of the hardest aspects of Tonglen, or more difficult, is doing Tonglen for yourself. Tonglen is two words in Tibetan, two symbols in Tibetan. It means taking and sending and taking. It's how you exchange normally with other people. If you take in their suffering, then you can send back some sense of relief. But they always start with themselves. And I'm going to focus just on doing Tonglen for ourselves, because most of us are in a kind of rough situation. We'll keep following up with this, because who knows? The election is Tuesday, but who knows how long it takes really to find out what's up. And if that's the last election is prologue to this one, it was well into January, so we don't know. But we're going to start with doing Tonglen for ourselves, because I know most of us are feeling at least some kind of tension, or some shade of fear, and some very strong fear. I mean, I've been talking to people, and everybody's talking about it. So Tonglen for yourself. There's a little poem I wrote this morning as I was writing reviewing my notes. By the way, just send me an email, looseleafhollow@gmail.com, if you want the notes from today's, and it'll include the screensaver in this poem. It's a small poem. You can even, it just came out as I was reviewing my notes. I just called it Midwife's Wisdom. And again, Tonglen is a feminine a practice, because it's earthy. It has to do with the heart, and the mind becomes it has a kind of masculine tinge to it, and that's fine, because the mind is a good tool, brilliant tool. Here we are, talking hundreds of miles away with each other. I'm so grateful for this tool, but it's not a really helpful tool when you're suffering a lot. Actually, it'll increase your suffering a lot of times. So we're going to have to go into the heart to get at the soul, and the heart is a feminine gender thing. The heart is where the wisdom is. Sophia in the Christian contemplative tradition means a lover of wisdom, and wisdom's only found in the soul. The mind and AI can handle information and knowledge, but we're talking about, we're going to have to go into a wisdom state to deal with big time suffering. So I call this Midwife's Wisdom. It's only 3 lines. This is the secret of revolutionary love. This is the secret of revolutionary love. Knowing how to breathe and when to push. This is the secret of revolutionary love. Knowing how to breathe and when to push. I've been in the delivery of my 3 kids, and that's what the attending nurse, that's what a midwife does. It teaches you how to breathe, and then when to breathe, and then when not to breathe, and just push. If you push the whole time, it doesn't work. So these 2 parts, the contemplative and the active, is how, that is the secret of revolutionary love, which I think is actually the only revolution that's coming, real revolution, and the only one that's going to take us anywhere. Study all the violent revolutions you want. They haven't really netted us anything. Everything that they bring up falls. But a revolutionary love, which is what Jesus was obviously talking about, and also what the Buddha was pointing to. But again, the Buddha he's what I call my favorite Indian neurologist because he knows the mind and he knows what gets in the way of going to the heart, where the love is. So he was just showing us what gets in the way, as any good doctor will point that out. He was a great neurologist. And then Jesus was 500 years later. I call him my favorite Jewish cardiologist because uh, he talked about the heart. The latest encyclical from Pope Francis, he's done three, which are an incredible triple bunch of it. The latest encyclical is about 28,000 words, and it's on the heart. It's on the Sacred Heart. My pal Ron, who's sitting right here, said, "Well, Francis is finally catching up to heart here." And I said, "Well, I think he's always been ahead of it, but he's putting it out there, 28,000 words. I'm not that wordy, but I mean, the heart is the transformative thing." Say, and I'm going to get a copy of it and read all 28,000 words. But that's what we're working with. That's what heart to heart is all about. How uh, the Sacred Heart is uh, that immaterial ace in our hole, and then we have a human heart, and we can somehow bring them together. And that Tonglen does that. Tonglen does it. So just review, especially if you haven't been here, just these three levels of breathing in meditation, at least the upper three levels. And the first one would be just a kind of basic breath, also known as the swinging door. Suzuki Roshi called it the swinging door. You breathe in through the nose, the door swings in. You breathe out through the nose, the door swings out. He called it like a swinging door. And this is just basic breath, but all these breaths breathe in on the nose, the three breaths. They're nasal breathing. So you breathe in through the nose, like a swinging door. And that's sort of your basic mindfulness breathing during sitting meditation, but it's also a good way to breathe all the time. Well, talked a little bit about that last time, but that's basic breathing. Normally what you use when you're sitting in contemplation or meditation, just a good breath to use while you're listening to instructions. Just practice it while you're listening. You don't have to even, the breath is coming and going, so you just shut your mouth. It's something I can't do right now. So, but just shut your mouth and be breathing as you listen. Then you're on basic gear, first gear for meditation. Circular breathing, the second kind, is a little bit more forceful and takes you a little deeper, a little quicker, and that's breathing in through the nose, fully, slowly. Okay, it's conscious, so you're really trying to breathe in slowly and fully, going all the way down to the lower abdomen, and on the out breath, you just reverse it. But now it goes out through pursed lips. Cleveland Clinic calls this pursed lip breathing, and this actually switches your neurological system from sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, scanning, looking for danger, even if it's not there. It switches that to the parasympathetic, which is calm, which is a state of rest. So that's where that's really I usually do that kind of breath when I'm waiting to start the session here. I'm just something about going through the pursed lips. So Cleveland Clinic gives you a little idea of the neurology of that, but it's a little 10-year-old said, trying to tell her grandmother how to breathe this way. She says, "Grandma, smell the cookies, blow out the candle." That's really that breath. Okay. And we'll be using all three breaths to do Tonglen for ourselves today. And then the third breath is just the sort of, I call it the heart to heart breath, which is just that second circular breath, the breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, but that in the center of it, when you get to your full in breath, you hold your breath for 4 heartbeats. and you'll be able to feel your heart beat, thump, 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 and then you release. And that'll be the central one we'll use during Tonglen. That's one of the uses of that breath. When you're doing Tonglen, for yourself, for others, for anybody else, uh, that's the breath actually to use, because the hold is holding whatever needs to be transformed, like in a crucible. It doesn't take time, it just takes intention and untention. So when you're doing Tonglen, today we'll be doing it just for ourselves. That part will actually do that third breath, the heart to heart breath, the sacred heart breath, really. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian, Sacred Heart of Christ. If you're a Buddhist, it's the bodhicitta, the noble heart, the awakened heart. The Sikhs have a different name for it. The Hindus have a different name for it. Almost every tradition, the Muslims. Uh, uh, but that kind of breathing will do. Uh, and so we'll use all three. And so to give you an idea of this 20 minutes, I'm going to lead you through. I'll lead you through on the timing, but I'm just a guide. If it goes a little different way, it's a very fluid, kind of practice. Uh, don't worry. Don't worry about the time. When it's 20 minutes, I'll let you know, and then we'll go into the community thing, community meditation. Now I'm trying to give you the view of it before we do it so that you'll be more relaxed. The first part is we're gonna do the part where you drop into the heart, and for that we'll use circular breathing, because it's the easiest way and the quickest way to just drop into the heart space to go this 12 inches. Okay, and for that we'll use circular breathing. Okay, and but then once we're in the heart space, I'll say, all right, we'll switch into doing a Tonglen for yourself. Now, this is the trickiest part of Tonglen for me. It was the hardest part to learn. And if you're doing Tonglen for a friend, you can picture your friend and breathe in whatever they're suffering, and then send them back. It's sort of like it's a bit a bit subject object kind of thing, but it's really subject to subject. But it's easy to see in your mind. Shut your eyes for a minute and think of your mother or your father or your brother or a good friend, and you can see a picture of them. I always found it a little hard to see myself. I tried for a while seeing my freaked out self sitting on a chair about 3 feet from me. That can work, but I found a better way, a more somatic way of doing this, and that's to do the heart to heart breath, but to use cellular breathing when we do it. Now, cellular breathing is an interesting kind of breathing I learned from the Tibetans too. It's a kind of something to throw in here. So this is what I'll be doing, or what I'll be leading you to do when it's okay. We're going to do it for ourselves now. So on the in breath, you're in your body, and on your in breath, you're going to be breathing in all the tension, all the anxiety, all the fear, all the darkness in every one of your cells. And you have trillions of cells. And I want you to, we're really going to you have to do a visualization here, but you're visualizing your own body as your eyes are shut. And just from the tips of the hair on the top of your head to the soles on your feet, all those trillions of cells, you're visualizing all that darkness, essentially, whatever it is, fear, anxiety, hatred, whatever, as coming to this point, coming to the heart. So it's coming up through the soles of your feet, it's coming towards your heart from your extremities, your very nails on your hands, and then from your hair, it all goes there. So you're picturing a sort of this darkness going all to the sacred heart. That's the in breath. Then you hold it there on the out breath. You hold it there for 4 beats. It's cooking, it's transforming. And then on the out breath, you send light back to every cell. And we'll do that just for a little while. You know, it's sort of intense. So we'll do it for probably about 5 minutes when we get to it. But again, you're breathing in all the darkness, and you don't really even need to have know exactly. Sometimes you don't know how you're feeling or why you're so freaked out. But sometimes you do. You're afraid of this or whatever. Well, you just see it as darkness coming from every cell because there's a lot of other stuff in our cells that we don't know. There might be the darkness of resentment. There might be the scar tissue from previous wounds. So we're just really doing uh, we're doing the whole thing. And so you just visualize darkness coming to this to this point, and then you hold it for four heartbeats, and then you're sending it back out in all directions. There's a reason that the heart is sort of in the center of your body, the physical heart. The sacred heart is definitely in the center of your body. Yeah, it's not going into your physical heart, it's going into your sacred heart, that immaterial uh, essence of soul that is connected to all of this, to the whole sacred world that's beyond time and space. And so the soul is our connector. So, you know, even if our physical heart is embraced by the two lungs, by the breath. So there's always been a connection between breath and transformation, you see. Yeah. So we're going to just uh, drop down into the heart. We're going to do some tongue lid for ourselves. Then we're going to go back just to regular meditation. And you could go shift back up to first gear and just breathing in. Because there might be it's a very powerful experience. So then we'll just go back to a kind of calm uh, first gear, breathing and just sitting with it, okay? That'll be the majority of the time. We'll probably spend 10 minutes there. So a few minutes dropping with the one breath, the circular breath, and then about 5 minutes just really trying to work with our own darkness at the moment, on that for ourselves. Then we have about 10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes of just sitting calmly and resonating with what's happened. And then we'll have the last 5 minutes will be optional. You can keep sitting or you can uh, use your pen to jot down some reflections or resonances. Okay. So all in all, just 20 minutes. Okay. And then we'll have about 45 minutes to talk. So let's keep the uh, recording going, Jill, so the people listening later can actually have the directed meditation. So, but put down everything now and get yourself in meditation mode. And I'll set the timer for 20 minutes here. And then we'll just do a practice on this. So put your hands somewhere you just want them to rest, face up or face down on your thighs, or however you're comfortable. And just feet on the floor. If you're in a chair, maybe you're moving to sit on the floor, some kind of a yogic posture or meditation posture. That's fine. And let your eyes shut. It's better for visualization that way. But normally, a lot of people meditate with their eyes shut. Okay. And just somewhat upright. But just your shoulders relaxed. If they're punched, if they're tense or something, just let them fall. Push up with your head a little bit. These are all preliminaries. Push up the ceiling with your head for a minute, like about 2 inches, and then let yourself just come down. Yeah. Then the shoulders come down, so you're not holding your shoulders in a tense kind of position. And let's just start with just first gear, just breathing in, noticing the breath coming in your nose, swinging in like the swinging door comes in, and then notice as it goes out through your nose. So we'll just do a few of those, just paying attention to the breath. Don't have to do anything with it. Better if you don't. Just noticing the breath like a swinging door. Breath comes in, the door swings inside. The breath goes out. The doors swing the other way. Just notice that now. Just follow the breath in and out. Doing really nothing much with the breath, but just following it with your awareness. Just first gear breathing, just basic breathing, following the breath with your own awareness. Stay with it. If your mind goes off to some thought, just bring it back. And just do about another minute, just following it. This is always a way into doing Tonglen. It's just as you start, just bringing your mind, following the breath. Just the awareness of the breath sometimes deepens it. That's okay. Let it do what it does. Just keep it on the breath. This is basic meditative breathing. And now let's just hit gear two on the out breath. You're going to breathe out through pursed lips. So on the in breath, maybe just breathe a little slower, a little deeper. We're consciously breathing now. And then on the out breath, out through pursed lips. Again, gently, deeply breathing. You don't want to force anything. Just do it slow and gentle, but full on the in breath. The same on the out breath through pursed lips. Slow, full, and gentle. Just in through the nose, out through pursed lips. And just try to lengthen the breath a little bit, make it a little fuller as you go along. Just, you can feel it going down your neck, your lungs, swell up, and just go a little further on the in breath and just let your belly fill up. And then you reverse it out through lips. Stay with this circular breathing for a few minutes. Just following the breath. Breath can get a little fuller on every inhale. Again, don't force anything. Just let it get a little fuller. And then just let it deflate through pursed lips. Do a few more of these. The breath, just massage your whole inscape. As we do the last couple of these, get a visualization of your whole body as you're sitting here, just as you are, and actually go into the inner part, and we're going to be breathing, shifting to the heart to heart breath, and we're going to be visualizing trillions of cells giving us whatever darkness that they're holding, anxiety, fear, hatred, despair, grief. Doesn't matter. We don't need to know. We just visualize this darkness coming from all points to the center of the heart, and we hold it there for 4 beats, transforming it, and then send out light back to your entire body, streaming out in all directions, to every cell. That's the basic thing. Now we're doing the heart to heart breath with whole body breathing, with cellular breathing. So let's do this for a while, just a few minutes, or just maybe 3 or 4 minutes, but it's very intense. Time isn't the important thing. The intention and the visualization. So let's go with that. So breathing in through the nose. The breath is going to all parts of your body now. And breathing in, you're breathing all the darkness to your sacred heart. And at the end of the breath, hold it for 4 heartbeats. Let the darkness be cooked. And then on the out breath, slow, full through pursed lips, you send the light back to every cell. And just keep doing this now for a few breaths, for a few moments. I'll tell you when to segue. Just do it for a few minutes. You get distracted, just bring yourself back to wherever you are in the breath. bring yourself back to it. This sacred cellular breathing. Darkness in breath. Light and love and healing on the out breath. Really try to visualize it now for the last few. Just see it going to every cell in the body. The cells are alive and they need some help. Okay, let's just do one more of these breaths and then we'll go back to regular breathing. So breathing in for the last time, perhaps just this practice anyway. Just breathing in all the pain and suffering and fear, grief, breathing it in, holding 4 heartbeats, and then sending back light and love and healing. And now just sit. That's sort of intense. That's what gets the job done. But now just sort of sit and just go back to first gear. Just breathing in, breathing out through your nose. Not actually doing anything consciously, just noticing the breath as it naturally enters, swings in, and swings out of your nose. You're just following the breath, just lightly, just aware. Just aware of the breath going in and out through your nose. Just aware of the breath and everything else too. You may have feelings and thoughts and reflections. It's okay, just be aware of them, but just keep a little bit of awareness on the breath going in and out. You bring yourself back to that. Thoughts and feelings will come. It's fine. Don't have to fight them or get rid of them. Just if you lose your just tiny bit of awareness on the breath going in and out, just return to the breath. This is just basic meditation. Let yourself calm down a bit. And for the last 5 minutes, you can stick with the breathing the whole way, part of the way, or you might decide you want to write a little bit right now. So we've got 5 more minutes, and it's your choice. You could write a little bit and then come back to the breathing. We'll just stick with this whole thing for 5 minutes. What if you want to jot something and the spirit moves you? Go ahead. The breathing continues no matter what.